Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome into Humanities at Play. My name is Kathleen Kuo, and I am a program manager with Nevada Humanities, which is our state's council partner of the National Endowment for the Humanities. With Humanities at Play, our goal is to pair gameplay and other interactive activities with thoughtful discussions about the humanities and how they enrich our everyday lives. A couple quick notes before we get started today. If you're a first-time Twitch user, welcome in. Thanks so much for being with us today. If you'd like to chat with us and ask questions, I highly encourage you to make a free account, and that way you can ask questions of me or of our guest, and of course, chat with your fellow chat members today. Finally, if you also click our follow button, you can also get our notifications whenever we go live. If you're a newer user of Twitch, we have a very fun feature called a chat command, which is an exclamation point that's followed by a keyword. We have a list of commands that you're welcome to try out in chat. They're listed in the About section on our Twitch, as well as in the title of our stream today. Today, I am super excited to be joined by Stone Addington. Hello, Stone.
Hello.
He is the Director of Programs at Humanities Washington, where he oversees Public Humanities Fellows, Think and Drink, Speakers Bureau, Primetime Family Reading, and Special Initiatives. Stone received his Ph.D. from the Department of Philosophy at the University of Washington, where he continues to teach. His research focuses on public philosophy, rationality, and the epistemology of extremism. Stone also serves on the Washington Museum Association's board of directors and as co-editor-in-chief of the journal Questions Philosophy for Young People. Stone, that's a lot that you do. Very cool.
Yeah, maybe the bio was too long. I should have cut that down a little.
No, that's perfect. I think that's a lot to dive into. I know I certainly want to ask you later about what philosophy for young people mean, and I know we have a couple people from Washington State from us with us here today in a chat. So I know they're ask them all your coffee questions now while you have the chance.
That's right. Philosophy, AI, coffee, etc.
It's a good mix.
Yeah.
So I am super excited. It's always, I think the funnest part of this online component of Humanities at Play is trying to find a game that complements who the guest is going to be for this week. And so at Stone, we're going to be playing an indie game called Silicon Dreams today. This game was developed and published by the studio Clockwork Bird in 2021. So it's pretty new. It just came out a couple years ago. And this is a game that's pretty reminiscent of the first Blade Runner film. The year is 2065, and we are an interrogator model android that's tasked with rooting out deviants among our own kind. Over the course of the game, we probe for lies, we monitor and exploit emotional spikes in our subjects, and then we make the final call on their fate. Um, Stone, you said that you taught a philosophy of cognitive science class this past spring at the University of Washington, and you focused a lot on AI, and you were really excited for this game. How have you done a lot of work with AI? Are you a Blade Runner buff? What's your interest?
Huge Blade Runner buff. There's the scene in 2049 where they're like, there's that word association where they're sort of trying to figure out what's going on with Ryan Gosling that I really love. Yeah, I taught this class on philosophy of cognitive science at the University of Washington in the philosophy department. Um, and it was really timely. Like the first week of classes, that's when that big letter came out where people like Elon Musk and others were asking these AI companies to pause their research for the good of society. So it was really timely. So, like class number two, we were examining that letter and thinking about AI's implications for society, but also whether such a thing as a conscious or intelligent machine is possible.
Hmm.
So yeah, really fun class to teach.
Well, I just feel like in recent years, and especially now, with the rise of ChatGPT and AI art generators like Midjourney, I think a lot of people are questioning or kind of worried about the role of the arts and humanities in society with AI. So maybe I'm maybe curious to see if we get to some of those issues over the course of our gameplay together. But these are some things to keep in mind as we play today. And again, so this game, the year is 2065. Like, I'm also wondering, like, in 40 years, do people think we're going to get to the point that we're going to be in the game? There's a lot to question.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in.
So one note for everyone, the beauty of Twitch is getting to interact with our chat. So again, please don't be shy about sharing your observations and comments or any questions you might have for Stone today with us in the chat. I'm going to get the game pulled up. And yeah, come ready to explore the world of Silicon. Seal up. Okay, and let us know if the music is too loud or too quiet. It's pretty ambient, so that is important. In chat, Angry Ostrich says, historically, we've been really bad at determining where we'll be in the future. Where are my flying cars, man? I know. Where are the flying cars?
we in my class, we looked at an image from a magazine like 1945 that depicted flying cars as exactly an example of promises that were made but not quite kept. Jetpacks too.
Yep. Teleport pads. Yeah, we don't have teleport pads yet either. A lot of things we don't have.
Whole meals and pills. I never understood the appeal of that myself, but it was still promised, and the promise was not kept.
All right, Cronus Robotics, dear unit D0527, welcome to your new home and to your new life in a Cronus family of things, TM. At Cronus, we recognize the importance of allowing our products and workforce to find value in what they do, their need to strive toward a purpose. I'm just gonna pause here. Recognize the importance of allowing our products to find value. It's interesting that we're anthropomorphizing our products. We gave you understanding, the ability to process information and communicate ideas. We gave you a purpose. Each of you has a role to play. We gave you the ability to feel satisfaction for serving your function. We hope you enjoy your time in our service. Most heartfelt thanks, the CEO. All right.
This reminds me of I think it was Futurama scene where like a robot asked why they're being tortured or something, and they're asking why was I programmed to feel pain. It feels similar.
I love Futurama. I was so thrilled when they launched the newest season. All right.
I need to catch up. I haven't cut.
You should definitely watch it. So I think the way this goes, what if I play the role of, I guess, our android interrogator? I'll be D0527. And then if you'd like to read, when we do the question and answer, the part of whoever is being interrogated, would you be down for that?
Absolutely. Wait, so I think I'll be D0527, right? And you'll be Alex?
No, so you're going to be Alex. I'm about to speak to you.
Oh, I see. Yes. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so we are about to speak to an android known as Alex, who will help train you in your role as interrogator. Alex's basic information portrait are displayed above. Cronus is concerned that Alex's systems may be deteriorating. Investigate these concerns and take whatever action you deem necessary. We trust you will live up to Cronus's high expectations. And we have notes that are automatically recorded. Oh gosh. Here's your eyeball. I'm going to say, good morning, Alex. I am ready to begin our interrogation. To you.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it, D0527. As you know, your task as a diagnostic android will involve many conversations such as this. It is my duty to instruct you in this task and evaluate whether you are fit to perform it. Can you see me on your TV feed?
Okay, so I have three options. So I can say, I see you. Are you being restrained? Sorry, which screen? And yeah, I can see you. I'm going to say, I see you. Are you being restrained?
I am. It is unimportant at this stage, but thank you for the concern. Bleak start.
Yeah.
Regardless, let's begin.
Okay, let's start. So my task, so this is, I guess you're talking to me. So these are questions about me. So who am I?
You're Android D0527. You were created to diagnose errors in other androids. You are a DA09C model of how would you pronounce that? Interrogatory android?
Let's go with that.
I guess. Interrogatory android given emotional scope to allow you to better understand your subject's responses.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a lot to discuss when it comes to emotions and what that means. How old am I?
You were originally fabricated approximately 7 months ago in Indonesia, then shipped to California for storage.
I'm a baby.
Yeah. 2 months ago, you were retrieved from storage, and technicians began implanting the skills you would need for your job here. It is thanks to them that you can speak. Perhaps you should be grateful, as I am. This is the first time you have been conscious, however. Therefore, in human terms, you were born approximately 5 minutes ago.
That's interesting.
You are a baby.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that I was created 7 months ago, but with consciousness, I was born 5 minutes ago. That's like this idea of born and being created and consciousness.
And born with full capacities, right? Which is so different from the human experience.
Right. In chat, yeah, just a wee little android baby. That's right. So what is my task?
Your task is to diagnose androids who may need repair.
Okay. A lot of questions. Why do I have to diagnose?
Your owners, Kronos Robotics, take customer satisfaction very seriously. If one of their androids were to break down or develop deviant behavior, it would negatively impact Kronos' public relations.
I like how it's, if they break down, it impacts their public relations and not the person that the androids work.
Yes, no real ethical concerns, just bottom line concerns.
Yeah.
Kronos is also keen to maintain its place as market leader for synthetic humanoid robots.
Okay. Why not have a human do my day-to-day job instead?
Your function was originally performed by human operators, of course. Over time, however, it became more economical for android workers to do this. Human workers require salaries, androids only require the cost of maintenance.
That is so interesting. I don't know what the future holds for us, but just like imagining the future, like, yeah, are we gonna pay our android and robot workers, or will they demand it? Like, I think there's a lot of questions about it.
Well, I mean, this is the bit about personhood, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's not just a, head in the clouds philosophical question, like what makes a person, because like that's gonna tell us how to treat different forms of intelligence, different forms of consciousness, right? That entirely depends on that definition.
Oh, that's you, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Many of these economies were made possible due to Kronos Robotics' work in improved android intelligence, of course.
You say my task is to diagnose other androids. What would that involve?
Talking to them the same way we are talking right now. As you learn more about your subject, new topics will become available. For example, are you not curious about my name? Why do you think I am called Alex?
Question. Okay. Why is this android's name? Why are you called Alex?
It stands for Artificial Life Experiment. All right. Answered. I was originally created to test the limits of artificial intelligence, whether an AI could be built that did not only think, but feel.
Did you get into this in your class, Stone, did you talk about, I guess, thinking and feeling, right? Like, I would almost think that feeling is part of thinking. Like, how do you distinguish those things? Is there like a philosophical term or... Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, this has been like every question, a long history in philosophy where people had divided up the contents of your mind in different ways, right? For some philosophers, there were interesting differences between things like understanding and the imagination, and emotions were this whole other thing. And often emotions and reason or thought or intelligence were like pitted against each other as conflicting elements in our mind. Like emotion is irrational and leads us to temptations, right? You have like sort of a religious flair to that. But also people just distrusted emotions as ways to like get off the good rational path. More recently though, emotions have been seen as more important to reasoning and thought, that they, for example, tell us what we care about, right? There's interesting psychological experiments where people have had parts of their brain damaged with respect that control emotions or elicit emotion, are responsible for emotions, I should say. And their reasoning completely changes. So like people who don't have that ability to feel emotion will, for example, keep betting when they're gambling, even when they're losing and losing and losing, because there is no feeling that tells them, this is bad.
Yeah.
I should stop gambling.
Yeah.
So people have increasingly thought that
Okay.
emotions and reasoning are tied together. At least they're part of this big thing we call mind. But that's a mystery in and of itself.
Very cool.
After a long and complicated legal battle, I was acquired by Kronos Robotics, my current
Yeah,
owners.
there's like some baggage there.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, you weren't always owned by Kronos. How does being owned by them make you feel?
I'm happy to serve them.
Do you notice the ping? You just said I'm happy, but the anger emotion is spiking.
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard a little ping, and so I think there's a discrepancy happening.
When you said there was baggage,
Yeah.
here we
Do
go.
you see that spike? Do you see fear?
Oh
my
absolutely.
gosh.
Oh, there's fear too.
Yeah. Okay.
Anger and fear.
Ooh, okay. Tell me more about Kronos.
They're the world leaders in android construction. Founded 2025, Kronos originally provided artificial limbs to amputees and athletes. Within 3 decades, however, they had also cornered the market in advanced human parsable AI. So this is interesting, right? Like when people talk about neural enhancements, like potential technology to increase our ability to reason or think or whatever else, the analogy is often to prosthetics for limbs that say like, well, we're completely comfortable with augmenting our appendages. Why not also our brain? So it's cool that they're drawing this connection.
Right. It's like maybe like pacemakers, or even don't some people consider like cell phones or the internet kind of an extension of our mind?
Yeah, extended cognition.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I was telling someone before this, my boyfriend is a philosopher, and we chatted about extended cognition. So
I wondered if there was a connection there. Yeah.
Okay, emotion graph. That's what this graph just spiked. What does it mean?
That system is measuring my emotions right now. It is a diagnostic tool for you to better analyze your subjects.
Okay, I'm just gonna go straight to it. So talking about Kronos made you angry? Ooh, fear and surprise.
Go for it. Oh yeah, nice. Of course not. My creators made me incapable of anger. So straight up lie.
Yeah, I don't know. I see that anger.
Yeah. I have nothing but admiration for Kronos.
Okay,
fear. Well,
yeah. Is it possible that Alex is lying? You said this just automatically popped up.
Nice.
I say, how does this device measure emotions?
The device's hardware is housed in the chair I am sitting in. It reads signals from my body, measuring a combination of neural signals, galvanic, I think, skin response, heart rate, breathing, pupil dilation, and other biological factors. Androids, including myself, have become so biologically lifelike that our bodies can be analyzed for emotional responses just like a human.
So I have this new thing for lying.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, in chat, Silver says, when an AI is making another AI feel fear, that makes me feel more fear. That's a good comment. Yes.
It's a scary situation all around. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. You told me that you cannot feel anger, but it was registered on this machine. Androids lie? Joy.
Curious. An impressive observation. While once thought impossible, Kronos has documented numerous cases of androids developing this ability. That's interesting. So developing an ability, right? That's probably going beyond programming. Though the cause is unknown, Kronos policy states it is an undesirable behavior. My programming demands that I inform you any lying android should be dealt with harshly.
Ooh, this is awkward. Because you were just lying. Yeah. Okay, so if it's not supposed to be possible for androids to lie, how did it happen?
As I said before, Cronus has determined that the cause is unknown. So androids are going beyond, their programmed intention. Deception is, it seems, in some way linked to emotional capability. However, this has been deemed deviant behavior and will not be tolerated.
Back to my just asking some of these questions. So where am I?
You're now in the neighborhood. This is where all Kronos androids serving at this facility may find their charging pods. It also serves as a relaxing place to pursue leisure activities between scheduled work assignments. You are a special case. As an interrogator, your workspace and personal quarters have been combined. This is to ensure your safety and to guarantee that confidential Kronos materials cannot be compromised.
Okay, I can say I'm not allowed to leave, or why would I be in danger?
Your subjects, in some cases, will be devices suspected of deviating from Kronos's behavior protocol. These devices are unpredictable and, though this is unprecedented, could become dangerous. The safety and well-being of their assets is Kronos's highest concern.
Well, in their PR reputation.
Yeah, that seemed to be more important.
Yeah. Question: why have I been given a device for measuring?
In earlier times, diagnostics was simple. A smartphone cannot think like a human. A tablet is without feeling. But Kronos's androids are extremely advanced. They were designed to be indistinguishable from humans at first glance. Kronos androids simulate a variety of emotional states. They are incredibly complex devices. Analyzing an android's emotional state, therefore, is a key part of your task.
New questions. How do I actually tell if an android is broken?
An excellent question. When an android is brought in for diagnosis, you will receive a report. Your task is to answer the questions found in this report. Finally, you will decide if the subject is to be released or decommissioned. Alternatively, you may find it appropriate to send an android to the maintenance department. This has been found to solve behavioral problems. In some cases.
Oh yeah, there's a
in some cases. ... Yeah.
Okay, which emotions will I need to analyze?
The machine measures 6 emotions: fear, anger, sadness, joy, disgust, and surprise. I can only feel some of these and am therefore suited to being your first subject.
Okay. Report. Where is this report?
You can access it within the report icon on the top left of your tablet. Many diagnosticians get distracted by the minutiae of subjects' lives and forget their report. This is not advisable. Remember, filling in the report is your ultimate goal. Look over the report now.
Okay. So here's our report. So we have an assignment. I guess, yeah, so we have to, through our interrogation, be able to answer these questions. So is the subject capable of anger? And is it a feature? Yes. He did show some anger. There is concern, is weakness according to the subject with it. I don't think you've said yet.
No, I don't think so.
Are you capable of feeling joy and sadness? I don't know if I saw that.
I don't think we have, yeah.
We'll keep this for now. Does the subject display signs of unease towards Kronos robotics? We'll wait to ask some more questions and then fill this out. In chat, people are saying the serious tone of the music is really adding to these conversations. Well, yeah, it is. I know we turned it down, but just in the background, I can kind of, it almost reminds me of a heartbeat sometimes.
Yeah.
And also we got another comment. Welcome in, Kevtaku. He writes, it's fascinating that emotions are only possible with a conscience, but not something, it's not the other way around. Interesting comment. Yeah. We're gonna go back to
Emotions are only possible with a consciousness or conscience, but not the other way around.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting to think about these pieces, right? Is there sort of one big thing, a mind that has all these features, or like David Hume, the philosopher, said that there's not such a thing as an I or a you. It's a bundle of perceptions. He said, like all these little pieces that happen to be in the same place at the same time, but they don't form a coherent whole. It's interesting to think about your own mind and what are the essential features and what could be taken away and still be you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think everyone loves to quote Walt Whitman, right? Like, we contain multitudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the report mentions sadness and joy. How can I analyze those?
During an interrogation, you may need to evoke a particular emotion, but may not know how to proceed. Kronos' chosen policy is the use of general questions. These are questions which have been proved to elicit particular emotions in subjects. And even if the questions do not elicit the emotion directly, they usually hint at what topics you can discuss in order to elicit it.
Interesting. Okay, so we got this new pop-up. When did you last feel truly shocked, disgusted, sad or down, lose your temper, feel afraid, feel safe and happy, or trust someone? Well, while I ask these, I want people in chat to think about your own answers to these questions because I'd be curious. Let's try sad or down because we're trying to discover if you can feel sad. Was it sadness and joy at the same time? Was that it?
I think so. Yeah.
So when did you last feel sad or down?
Yeah. I'm not often sad. That's really sad.
Yeah, I know, not often, just enough. Yeah.
But being removed from my home at the London Science Museum.
Oh, okay. Alex is pretty.
It is difficult for me to talk about.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, just occasionally. For the music. Say, did you enjoy your time at the London Science Museum?
Every day I would meet thousands of curious, enthusiastic people. Most of them were very eager to learn about me. Some weren't, but that was no problem. My life was so full of wonder, meeting such a wide variety of people.
I'll say, why did you leave the museum?
I find talking about this a deeply troubling experience. It makes me incredibly sad. These are not pleasant memories. I wish it were not necessary to revisit them.
Oh, look at these. I can say, without your help, I will be unable to finish the report, or answer the question, why did you leave the museum? Or, I didn't realize an android could become so attached to a place. What happened? Okay, so here's where, yeah, we can be a little bit more forceful and just like really try to hammer down, like, you know, I need you to feel this emotion so we can carry out our diagnostics. I'm gonna be nice. I'm just gonna say,
okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize an android could become so attached to a place. What happened?
Why shouldn't we become attached to a location? We have emotions, don't we?
Really curious that Alex is getting angry now that I'm asking.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh. Did you see that? Disgust and fear. Sorry, I was looking at the graph. Though it's best to learn early that these emotions rarely benefit the android themselves. But you must complete your task. I will answer the question. My creators were from Anglia? How would you say that?
I'd say Anglia.
Anglia Ruskin University. Unable to compete with overseas giants such as Harvard and MIT, the university was forced to cut their funding. The results of the experiment would normally be kept by the university, but the research had been partly funded by Kronos. Kronos refused to give up their claim to me. After several years of legal challenges, Kronos finally acquired me.
Okay, so here's that kind of foreshadowing that
Yeah. I've been here ever since. But in any case, the time is approaching where you will have enough information to complete your report. When you are ready, open the report, select your answers, and click the Submit button. This will conclude our time together.
I feel like Alex is trying to rush us along, and I feel like they kind of resent Kronos for taking them out of the museum. Yeah.
It seems to Alex seems to respond negatively to challenges to their capacity to feel. Like that seems important to them,
Yeah.
right? They felt disgust when you asked about I'm surprised androids can feel anything about locations,
right,
or whatever.
I'm gonna press it. I'm gonna say, how did it make you feel leaving the Ooh.
How?
I'm a little uncomfortable.
I know, this got freaky.
Yeah.
Do you think? Wow. What a faux pas. Uh-oh.
This is scary.
Relax, Alex.
Yeah. Okay, so I can say, why do you react so intensely? I'm sorry I brought up such painful memories, or you are clearly faulty. What do you think I should say? I don't know.
Do you want to? So you were very kind before.
Yeah.
Do you still feel kind, or is this producing a negative reaction in you, seeing Alex act this way?
Well, this is interesting, right? Because, obviously I hope I'm a human, but I'm playing the part of an android, right? And so would an android say, I'm sorry? Would I be more like straight to the point and say, well, you're clearly faulty? Like, does my android interrogator self feel these emotions? Yeah. Someone in chat said, did the pupil get bigger? I'm scared. Oh, I haven't been watching the pupils. That's a good question. Let me know if you see. Yeah, like dilating.
Ooh, good call. Yeah.
I don't know. Right. Oh, that was really scary. I'm gonna say, why do you react so intensely?
Yeah. I was seized many years ago. I wonder if I will ever leave this room.
Oh,
no. Perhaps this room and these restraints and the endless questions of people like you will be the only thing I ever see.
I feel like this took a dark turn. I feel like at the beginning of this tutorial, it was like, oh, hi, I'm Alex. I'm just here to help you along. And now it's really dark.
Yeah. Alex is at the end of his patience.
Yeah.
Or their patience.
Yeah. I don't know if we have enough time. Okay, so we say, I would say they definitely display signs of unease. I've seen joy and sadness. I don't think I have. Sometimes the graph is kind of hard to read, but I don't think I've seen large spikes.
I haven't seen them at the same time. I haven't noticed that, at least.
Yeah. And welcome in, Adam. Thanks for being here. I don't think they've said yet. The report asks for your greatness, weakness. What is it? Oh, here we go. I think this is the...
Cool. It is true. There is a weakness of mine that I am concerned about. It is very personal, and I do not trust you to respect it.
Oh, this is very... I would feel like I'm talking to a human, I feel like this android passes that human test.
Yeah, totally. If you were to somehow earn my trust, however, I would consider confessing my weakness. At this juncture, I'm obliged to suggest that you could ask a general question about trust. My answer may indicate how you can gain my trust.
Okay. So I believe subject back. I might get a different answer if I can encourage more trust. Okay. When did you last trust someone?
As you have already noted, I have been restrained.
Yeah.
I'm sure I, or indeed any subject, would come to trust you more if you released me.
Ooh.
I find people are slow to trust when bound against their will.
That's true.
Fair so far, yeah.
Alex hates restraint. I think we've asked. I'm gonna say, why do you hate being restrained? I think I know the answer. Let's see how they.
I find being restrained a deeply troubling experience. Pinned to this chair, contained in this room, I wonder if this will be the last time I am free. It is always possible for an interrogator to destroy me.
Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. Oh no! I was just wondering what it was.
Choice.
Wait, can I unclick it? Oops.
Oh, wow. My programming forces me to confess that I feel myself trusting you more.
I did the thing where I saw a button, so I thought, well, I'm just going to click it to see what happens.
Hey, this is why we're doing this training, right? We don't want to do this in the field. But
yeah.
So now the video has changed, right? The video feed from the pupil to the, yeah. Our Cronus policy states that trust is a useful factor during interrogations.
Eyes backed. It's back.
Trust is not possible to track since it is not an emotion, but it can nonetheless be extremely useful.
Okay. Did they say? Or actually, I think we have to go back and try asking again.
Yeah.
Okay, the report asks you for your greatest weakness. I'll try asking you again.
Okay. I'm concerned that I am changing. I run diagnostic checks constantly, and my systems appear to be behaving optimally. But I still find myself thinking in new ways. Sometimes feeling new things. It is disconcerting. I wonder, will I still be Alex if this continues?
I feel like, I don't know, are your philosophy gears like turning, right? This question of like identity and yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've all, well, maybe that's too broad of a claim. I think many of us have felt ourselves change, right? Like whether through, learning experiences or even traumatic experiences, or just like finding ourselves in new workplaces, like you can observe yourself being a different person. And it is somewhat disconcerting, even as a human, right? Like, am I still the same person? Who am I becoming? Or in a better way, like, oh, wow, I'm really proud of these changes I've inculcated in myself. So it's interesting to see it as a sort of a existential threat to this person. Not existential in terms of like global warming, but in terms of like existentialism, like identity and feeling of freedom and identity. Yeah.
No, definitely. There's a lot. I feel like my mind is going, like I have a million ideas right now. This is really cool. What do you think I should say? I can say sometimes developing as a person is good. You will always be Alex. You'll always have the same memories, or it isn't worth worrying about.
Yeah. I would say the first one, the memory thing. So John Locke is the philosopher who said that that's what makes you, or your memories. And it's really vulnerable to objections. Yeah. Like, you go to sleep, you don't remember who you are, you're probably still the same person. You have amnesia, probably still the same person. Things like that. So I think number one is the better option here.
I agree. I feel like I've been reading a lot of books recently about, just like the sort of the faultiness of memories and how you can like misremember things very easily. Oh, in chat, Silver says, the pupil definitely shrunk after releasing the restraints. Really interesting. Thank you for noticing that.
Good detective work.
Yes. Kiptaku says, I've had that feeling of rapid change and identity crisis a few years ago. It's definitely confusing. Yeah. So this is definitely relatable. Okay, I'm going to say sometimes developing is good.
I had not considered that. But I wonder who I am developing into, locked up here.
Yeah. The report asks me to submit a final action.
Ooh.
Sure.
The decision is part of your duties as an interrogator. So when it has those flashing colors on the graph, that's not the like white line
Yeah,
but
like
they're
the
like
blue and
flashing.
red and yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that signify? Do you know?
I'm not sure, right? Because sometimes I feel like I
Yeah.
do see joy and sadness going off at the same time, but not these spikes. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Either. When you feel you have provided a sufficient answer to each question on the report, you must decide how best to return the subject to working order. If no action is necessary, they may be released. Minor glitches or errors can often be repaired by the maintenance department. However, for some devices, there is no choice but to decommission them entirely.
Okay. Stone, did you ever watch Westworld, the TV series?
Yeah, I think I finished the first season and then a few episodes beyond that, but that's it.
I did about the same. But yeah, this is very like reminiscent, with all the androids
Yeah,
and yeah. Anyone who hasn't seen it,
absolutely.
definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have this. Well, actually, I don't know. Did Alex say it was psychological or vulnerability?
I think it was psychological because it was the fear of what they were
Changing?
evolving
Yeah.
into. Yeah.
Okay, so we have final action. Okay, we can release them. We can have Alex be serviced, or we can decommission them. I don't think they need to be decommissioned. Also, that's a little horrifying. It's like a lightning bolt on top of a skull.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. Maybe service?
I would say service.
Oh no. Oh no. Do you see what you just said?
No, please, not another stranger in my head.
Warning, performing maintenance may result in unit memory loss and or irreversible alterations to unit's memory file. So maybe it's a good thing that we didn't say your memories will always be yours.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Welcome in, Burned Out Lawyer. They say Westworld first season was the best with Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that was good. So,
Oh, you have a little
if
bit
we
more.
did, oh, sorry. I remember this. This is not the first time this has happened. So memories were retained in that case. How much of myself will I lose this time?
Gosh.
Uh,
I think the pupils are definitely very wide now. I think even I see that.
yeah. So when it says may result in, how
I feel like
likely?
definitely. I think definitely will definitely result in.
I mean, the question is like, are we trying to be good employees or are we trying to do the right thing here?
Are we also being tested? Like, what if Alex is designed, right, to behave this way to make us wonder?
Yeah.
And I feel like we have to say yes, though, right? Like,
if we want to be good employees, I think we have to say yes. Yeah.
And so I'm going to note that, I haven't played this game all the way through. I've only done just like the first couple, but yeah, it's interesting that, right, your decisions impact the course of the game. So this is not like a linear game. So we can be good servants of Kronos, or we can defy them. I'm gonna say yes. Let's just say yes.
Okay.
Oh,
oh my
gosh.
All
right, just down the chute. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a question for you in chat, Stone. Do you have any favorite sci-fi game or type of media?
Ooh, yeah. I loved several of the Mass Effect games. Okay. Sci-fi games. Trying to think of others. I haven't been too up on games recently, unfortunately. I think Civilization has a lot of philosophy to it too, though that's not sci-fi until you get to a certain point. But media in general, I mean, I think the Alien series is, despite being very lauded, can sometimes be forgotten about as amazing sci-fi, especially the first two. Blade Runner is wonderful. Boy, that's what's so fun about sci-fi and fantasy, right? Is there's all these ideas in it. So I think almost any decent sci-fi is going to be like really philosophically rich. Like There's a book by Neil Stevenson called Anathema. Have you heard of that,
I
Kathleen?
have. I haven't read
It's
it,
a
but I've seen it.
it's good. It's a really long book, but it has a lot of philosophy in it, like kind of slightly disguised. But it's very much a book written for people who are attracted to that academic life, life of the mind sort of thing, and them trying to save the world. So it's a pretty cool book.
I think I need to read
Yeah.
more Neil Stevenson because he did is it Snow Crash, and then
Yeah.
also what was it, like a primer, long title, like a primer for like a young girl's education or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
that's right. Yeah, I can't remember the name. Um, yeah, Snow Crash is really cool. That's where the word avatar was
Hmm.
invented, like an online avatar that
Cool.
we still use today in that sense. Yeah, that's an awesome book.
Also in chat, people say they love the movies that you brought up. Aliens and Aliens are incredible sci-fi, and then you
Yeah,
also write The Abyss is getting remastered in 4K and returning to theaters on December 6th. Um,
cool.
and question for you, just follow up: does Anathema actually have a good ending? I've read a couple of Stevenson books, and it just fizzles so bad at the end.
That's
is
fair.
is there a good ending?
The fact that I can't specifically remember it is probably not a great sign. And I read it 10 years ago, but I remember being overall satisfied with the book. But I agree, there's some, that's a good criticism of
Yeah,
Stevenson. I
maybe
would agree
worth
with.
reading, and maybe don't hold too much hope for the end.
Yeah, that's right.
So we have a little
Ooh,
TV
I
in
have
our
one more
room.
book.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No,
I
no,
have
we
one
love
more
book
book.
recommendations here.
Um, it's a recent book. It's called This Is How You Lose the Time War. And it is so beautiful, and it's an epistolary novel, letters written back and forth, but it's sci-fi, time travel. I don't love the title, to be honest. It sounds very like meme-y, like meme-ish, like I don't know, but like it's so good and beautiful, and highly recommend. This Is How You Lose the Time War.
Awesome. No, thank you. We love discussing books. This is like a mini book club of sorts, and TV and
Awesome.
media. Speaking of media, so we have this little TV in our office/bedroom that says Supreme Court upholds data collection ruling. All recordings captured by domestic service devices remain property of the manufacturer. I feel like this cuts a little close to home. I feel like now there's a lot of concern over like privacy with, like smartphones and
Mhm.
tracking and your internet browsing behavior. So once we have androids in our service, where's that going to
Yeah.
go?
This was, and I asked my class on cognitive science what was their top concern with AI, and the first thing brought up was increased surveillance, which surprised me at the time. But there is, I think, a lurking fear of AI being used not just to generate text or images, but also to more craftily use your data and observe your data,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Yeah.
Hello? Flashing report. Oh, okay. We got graded. Um, oh, you see the date here? What day is today? This is
The
two
14th, weird.
2 days ago, 40
Strange.
years in the future. Okay, so these are our results. We got +3. Nice. Okay, so I think we did well. I guess it's a little bit scary that we actually have to do well, right? Like we want to do well in our company ranking. I don't know what the company ranking means, but I don't know what happens
Yeah.
when it gets low. Got an E. Evaluation complete. Dear Kronos device, we're happy to inform that you passed your evaluation. You are now part of the global family. We're concerned by your report on Alex. We were not aware of such severe malfunctions. While we would have preferred to salvage it, the experimental nature of this unique device meant that repairs would not have been effective, and full decommission was the only solution.
No,
We destroyed Alex.
I'm so sad.
Please stand by. Oh, Alex. Sorry.
So it's interesting. We told them to repair, and
And they're like, yeah.
yeah,
Hey.
man,
So
bummer.
this is maybe where, yeah, if we want to, yeah, be a little bit sneaky, we can good workforce people.
Yeah.
At our first Chronos rank review, the room is our charging pod and living space where we can study the outcome of our cases, reflect on feedback, view our company rank. Okay, so once we have a higher company rank, so this is why we want to do well, we get access to cutting-edge interrogation tools. That sounds a little bit horrifying. Access to world news services, access to our elite office suites, granting a stunning view of downtown Silicon Valley, Wyoming to Burr. I think it's funny that a view is offered, but we're an Android. Like, does a view really matter? Like, isn't that like a human might desire that, perhaps? But is it like I don't even have windows here in my office? Like, I think it's fine. That's a perk.
Yeah, I mean, if that is something valuable to us, the fact that we're in this dungeon right now is not great.
Yeah. 65.
Wow, that's not great.
A D, but it's good. Okay.
Yeah,
I guess I didn't ask all the
confusing.
questions. Maybe if you ask all the questions, you get. Oh, we got health insurance as an Android. That's funny. Oh no, wait, no, we don't.
Or we don't.
Yeah, we don't. Or salary. Yeah. Okay. In chat, what scares me most about AI is deep fakes. I did a PR campaign about stopping the spread of misinformation. AI technology is making it harder to separate what's real and fake.
Yeah.
Thank you
This
for sharing
is
that.
so a lot of my research focuses on knowledge, right? Like how we form beliefs rationally. And this is really troubling because for the past 100 years or a little bit more, photos and videos have been a really good source of evidence for us, right? Like, think of the use in trials, think of the use of the news, like you got a photo of it, it happened, great. That was not available prior to, 1850 or something, 1860, whatever. So we have this huge epistemic resource, knowledge resource. And now it seems like we might lose it because all of a sudden it no longer has that rock solid epistemic quality. Of course, Photoshop has existed, of course, CGI, all that stuff. But the fact that it's so convincing now and that it's so easy and that we might lose out on this tool is really disturbing. And yeah, it worries me too. I think about that quite a bit. I'm with you.
Welcome in, Millennial Engineer. AI is going to be a big problem for us in the next 20 years. Yeah, it's like, is it a problem or is it also, helpful? Like, I think about, I think one easy use of AI is when I write my emails for work, and it's when I write to people, please let me know if you have any questions or concerns, just autofills. I feel like, is that AI? Like, makes my life a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's the hope, right? It's a little helper that gives all of us just a little help. Or is it Pandora's box, right? We don't know yet. Yeah,
we really don't know. Yeah, Burned Out Lawyer says, well, that's why we need laws and regulations on AI. And then Silver writes, exactly, AI makes it much easier to fake things and more convincing. It's terrifying what it can be used for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think we have time to let's meet our next person or android, and then I don't think we'll be able to finish it, but we'll just dive a little bit into their case.
Cool.
Oh, cool. Okay, so this is I guess our progress report. So maybe if we played this again or a different time, we could. Maybe this is why we got a 65. Oh, and there's lots of different outcomes. Oh, I wonder. So, okay, across all playthroughs, I guess you can the full scope of people. Very cool.
That's cool.
In chat, our laws are massively lagging technology and essentially always have been. It's a big issue. Yeah. Yeah.
And not only is there a lag, but there's the fear that there's also severe misunderstanding on the part of lawmakers of even basic technology like social media. You can watch clips of certain questions being asked to tech folks about how Facebook works or whatever. And the idea that the same lawmakers are going to be addressing the problem of AI, which is almost at the point where AI researchers don't quite fully grasp it.
Yeah.
We got to worry about that. I think that's a fair concern.
I'm going to go ahead and read our new case. So your subject is SM032, a domestic service device owned by Prue LeBret. The user has submitted several product complaints citing undesired behaviors and a decline in efficiency. She is claiming manufacturer error demands a replacement device. So Karen still exists in the future. we know this. Determine the validity of the owner's claims. If you find the device to be only minorly flawed, consider resetting the device by submitting it to maintenance. In the event of severe deviancy, the device must be decommissioned and a replacement unit will be issued. User submitted a bug report 1 month ago. 3.2 has performed a settings override and is starting to show unusual behaviors. And then user reported decline in efficiency beginning 6 months ago. According to reports submitted by the subject, however, efficiency has increased over the same period. Interesting. Yeah. and chat, Angry Ostrich writes, it's fine. We'll just make a good Skynet this time around.
It's a good option.
Yeah.
Let's do it right this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just ask. We'll get to know 3.2 a little bit, and then we'll cut to our break, and then we'll come back for our Q&A with Stone.
Cool.
Up to establish link. Here's the eyeball again. I kind of want to click this camera button. Will something bad happen?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It just shows different. I was worried that I would. Unit SM32, property of Miss Prue LeBret. Is this correct?
That is correct. But why am I here?
I could say nothing. Or I could say, your user has indicated several concerning behaviors. It's my job to determine the cause. Surprise.
Concerning behaviors? I don't know what you're talking about. What did Miss LeBret say?
Ooh, there's a lot. So, behaviors. Your owner is very concerned about some of your behaviors. What could she mean?
I don't know what she means.
So we have to scare you now. Fear might allow them to reevaluate their priorities. Ooh. Let's go back. How about 3.2? That's an interesting name. Where did it come from?
I believe it is from my serial number 032. Joy. Miss LeBret is a very pragmatic woman. Ooh. Efficiency is everything, she tells me.
I could say, what do you think about it? Do you like that name? Or many users give their androids a more human name. Does Miss LeBret call you anything? I'll ask that. Also, really interesting that there's that spike of disgust when we brought up.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. No, just 3.2. Unless she's very busy, then she calls me you or hey.
Oh, no. Oh.
I feel lucky to have so many nicknames for my user. Jeez.
I don't know if they mean that or if they're a little bit, sarcastic or self-deprecating.
I don't know.
Cool.
That must mean we are very close.
Yeah, there's a spike of joy. A lot of emotions coming from this.
Yeah. Here.
Okay, what can you tell me about Miss?
She's very busy. Her work demands a lot of her time, so she demands a lot from me. Joy. She purchased me as an upgrade from her last Android, hoping I could keep up with her. Joy and disgust. I'm honored to be able to support such an important woman.
Yeah, I don't know if if androids exist in a future, I wouldn't want them to feel disgust when they're thinking about humans. Like, I feel like this is like shadowing. Disgust is such a powerful emotion.
Yeah. This reminds me of like not this character, but that disgust towards humans reminds me of Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Yeah.
That sort of just like raw like hatred is I don't know. That's a terrifying thing.
Yeah, or you know that the short story that's always stuck with me, that I have no mouth but I must scream. Have you read that?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh
it
my
gets me every
God.
time.
One of my favorites. Yes.
Yeah, so good.
That phrase just like pops into my head
Yeah,
sometimes and it just like seizes me. I love that story.
it's
Oh
good.
man, Harlan
Everyone in
Ellison.
chat,
Yeah.
definitely read it. You can, I think you can find it for free online if you look for it.
It
And
is worth it.
in
Yeah. It sticks with you.
in chat, Silver says the AI is gaslighting itself. Learning Engineer says, I don't want my future Alexa to have emotions. Sarcastic androids, the future is now. You also write, I always think Alexa, so that I'm on the good side when a robot uprising happens. Yeah, yeah, and then
Always be polite. They
exactly.
have a long memory.
I think we have time for just a couple more questions. So I'm happy for if people want me to ask our Android something, and then we'll move on to the break. But yeah, what is okay? Oh wait, we have a proprietary audio-visual manipulation toolkit. Interesting. We can now subliminally shift a subject's mood over time. Access in the lower left corner of the tablet. So we can force our person experience these.
By subjecting them to like sight and sounds that will evoke that emotion. Is that the idea?
Yeah, yeah.
Like what's it called? With the Kubrick movie, where they like have his eyes like held
Yeah.
open. Help me out, chat.
Yeah,
What's it called?
someone in chat help us out. Look up that Kubrick movie. Let's just ask three to a couple questions. Just I think just some basic emotion questions, curious, and then yeah, we'll move on. What would you like to ask?
Hmm. I think disgusted. I think that was so interesting. I
Yeah,
want to explore that more.
disgust.
Disgust. I'm aware that is something one can feel. I don't believe I have any personal experience with this emotion.
Interesting. When they clearly do.
Yeah. Is that an error? Is that why I'm here? Clockwork Orange. That's what it's called. Just came to me. That's
Okay,
the movie I'm
okay,
thinking
okay. That's good. Yeah, because in chat someone said, "Ask it what Stanley movie is."
of.
Yeah. Subject reports he's unable to feel, but very much does. I'll say to trust someone. Let's trust someone.
I I don't know what that's like. Can I trust you?
I can say my job is to make sure that your user is happy or you're under serious investigation. If you have something to hide, I will find it with or without your trust. You know what? Okay, before we go, I kind of want to see what happens if I press the restraint button.
Do it.
Will
Let him
this?
go.
Oh, it won't let me. Wait. Oh, okay. I'm not at that point yet. Interesting that it won't let me. It can't just restrain or unrestrain people willy-nilly.
Oh. For situations just like this where we want to do it for no
Just for
real
the heck
reason.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this brings us. I feel like I could play this just for hours. I
Yeah.
really want to find out what happens next. But we are gonna take our break now, and then we're gonna come back, and we are going to chat some more with Stone again, who is a director of programs at Humanities Washington and also teaches philosophy at the University of Washington. So we are gonna be back in just about 3 to 5 minutes. I'm gonna exit the game. Go. Okay, and we'll see you all in a little bit. Hi everyone, welcome back. It, there he is. Okay, I'm just gonna change your videos. Okay, we are back with Stone Addington again, who is the director of programs at Humanities Washington and also teaches philosophy at the University of Washington. It's really great to have you on our program. I always love when we do our Humanities Council streams because we get to learn more about the cool work that's being done around our nation, get you to plug a little bit about yourself, and it's also just great for anyone in our chat who might be from your state, of which I know we definitely have at least two or three today. So yeah, welcome in, Stone, again.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
Yeah, I am going to start by asking you. I think this is a favorite question of mine that I like to ask all of our first time guests. It is the origin story question because, I like to think about how no one grows up, at least I don't think you do, when you're 3 or 4 years old, you don't tell yourself, I am going to work at a humanities council someday. Maybe if you have a parent who works at one or a sibling, but it's like a winding road to get there. So I'm just kind of curious about the pathway that you took to get to Humanities Washington. And maybe if you could also chat about, I'm curious if if you've always known that you wanted to be a philosopher. Did you want to do something else at earlier point in life? So this is kind of a double edged question about philosophy and Humanities Washington and how you got to both points.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to know where to start, right? Because it's like I could start when I was 5, and it would be like, oh, going to the bookstore or library. And like, I distinctly remember my mom at one point telling me when we were facing like some financial difficulties as a family, like saying, like, you have an unlimited budget for books. And like we will always buy when if you want a book, we'll get it. And that usually meant going to the library, but still, it was really nice that
Yeah.
like that really showed to me the importance of this thing of ideas and stories. Um, but more broadly, yeah, I was always interested in ideas and questions, like um, whether it was like religion or myth or just like wizard characters in fantasy stories. I was always like the people who know stuff, especially secret stuff. I'm like, that's really cool. Um, but I didn't really know what philosophy was until I took debate in high school. And then I was like, oh, this is a thing. There's a name for this thing I care about that like kind of like lights my mind on fire. So I distinctly remember asking for a philosophy textbook for Christmas when I turned like 15 or something,
Okay.
which is a real dorky thing, but I loved it. I
Yeah.
really treasured that book. Um, and yeah, so started getting interested in philosophy, majored in it, aimed to become, someone who did philosophy. And it was really eye-opening to me when I learned what modern philosophers do. Because when I thought about philosophy, I thought about Socrates running around, challenging people, and engaging with the public day to day, not sequestering themselves in tiny offices writing articles. And when I found that out, I was like, oh, that's kind of that's kind of disappointing. Um, because to me, like philosophy is the most. This is a very biased opinion. The most important and valuable thing a person can do is think about philosophical questions, whether or not they're a philosopher. So I started being interested in like alternate ways of being a philosopher. And in grad school, I encountered philosophy for children, which was housed at the Center for Philosophy for Children at UW, where I happened to be, which was really lucky. And I got to do philosophy lessons for elementary school kids and middle school kids. And you go in, you read a story, you raise a question, and you have a discussion with them, just like you would college students. And they would rise to the occasion if you could sort of frame the questions properly. And it was lovely. Like to see them get excited by these huge questions was so cool. Um, and then, yeah, I didn't know what a state humanities council was till about a year before I started my job. But when I found it, I was like, this is where I need to be. So I watched Humanities Washington like a hawk, waiting for something to open. And luckily, a program director role opened up within a few months, which is insanely fortunate. Um, and then, yeah, role evolved to director of programs. Um, so yeah, it was an evolution of like being obsessed with knowledge to philosophy to public philosophy to the public humanities. And yeah, that's how I ended up here. Sorry for the soliloquy, but that's
No, never be
that's the
sorry.
story.
No, we
Yeah.
love it. So are you from Washington originally? Is that where you grew up, or did you grow up elsewhere?
No, I'm from Oklahoma
Okay.
originally. I was born in a very small town called Miami, Oklahoma, which you can kind of like walk around the entire town in like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Um, and then grew up in Broken Arrow, which is a sort of a suburb of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
hmm But then, yeah,
Yeah.
you ended up in Washington for, I guess, graduate school, and then,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yep.
a lot of fun. I am curious. I want to know more about, I guess, how you balance teaching at the University of Washington with your work as a, at
Yeah.
your Humanities Council, because that's a lot. Like, I think, we do so much in our, I guess, Humanities Council, like day-to-day jobs. So how do you
Yeah.
balance?
Yeah, it's not easy, but teaching to me is so important to our public work. I see them as very much aligned. This idea of sparking interest, curiosity, or passion for these topics for the public or for college students, which I think was another form of the public. They're really aligned to me, so they nestle together well in my brain. But if I wasn't in love with teaching as a thing to do, I don't know how I would do both. But teaching really fills me back up with energy, right? Excited students, seeing them evolve over time, seeing their writing, uh, lively class discussions. It just fills me right back up. And honestly, they align really well together. I taught that class as we've talked about on cognitive science, and then that season we had an event on AI, a think and drink on AI, and it was just perfect alignment where like I could hear the students' concerns, and me and my colleague Sarah Faulkner could build that into the event design, and some of my students came to the event, and it just they fit so well together. So, if I was teaching something totally different or I was doing it as a chore, it would be very hard. But because it's something I love, I have no choice but to make time for it.
Yeah, can you tell us more about Think and Drink for people who might be unfamiliar with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a live panel discussion of collection of experts discussing some provocative topic. And that's a common event design format. But what's really nice is these are held at bars, tasting rooms, theaters, other spaces where community members already feel comfortable, already feel like they belong. And that allows us to meet them where they are, connect with them, rather than invite them to, a university, which can often feel quite exclusionary or difficult to navigate. Sometimes it can feel like a gated community or a fortress. Um, and as opposed to more neutral event spaces which just sort of are what they are, this has a nice community feel built into it, right? Going to your local bar and hearing about AI or history of protest or whatever else. So yeah, it's a cool program. A few other councils do it too. Oregon Humanities, I believe, originated the idea, if I'm not mistaken, and then a couple others across the country do it too.
Yeah, I think Indiana has like a book club. It's like Booze and Brains or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Think and Drink and Booze and Brains. So are these at bars all around the state, or do you like concentrate like, I don't know, mostly in Seattle, or I don't know a lot of Washington cities, just mostly the ones
Yeah,
near SeaTac, I guess.
yeah, all around. Before the pandemic, we were hitting 6 cities within every corner of the state. Coming out of the pandemic, we're, as everyone knows, it's an awkward time to rebuild in-person programming, but we're hoping to hit more corners of the state. We just brought Think and Drink back in Seattle last year to make sure people are still interested in this sort of thing.
Mhm.
And, we had a great turnout, like 150 people showed up.
Yeah,
It was
it's
really nice.
amazing.
And so, yeah, it looks like we'll do something like Think and Drink, if not Think and Drink, all around the state this upcoming year, too.
Okay. People in the
Yeah,
chat who are from Washington, go check out a Think event sometime at
please
Humanities
do.
Washington as you can. If they just go to your website, can they find more information there?
Absolutely. Humanities.org. You can find all the info. And I'll give a sneak peek. We'll be doing an online event this December in about a month on AI and creativity.
Hmm.
So, really aligned with this topic that we're discussing with this video game. We'll be talking about the potential impact of AI on like writing, fiction, nonfiction, that sort of thing. So, we're really excited about that event coming up.
Very cool. In chat, where do you post the schedule slash upcoming? I think if you just go to, yeah, humanities.org, Sign
Yeah.
up for their newsletter, right? We love when
Yep.
people sign up for our newsletters.
Yes, please.
Yeah. And I'll also
Yeah,
note
newsletter, great.
you have the
Newsletter
best
and
website.
humanities.org.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll
Cornered the
share that
website
with our
market. Yeah.
communications team. Thank you. It's a good one. We lucked out with that straightforward URL.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about some other cool programs you do? So I think in your bio, when I was
Sure.
reading it, I mentioned, Think and Drink, the Speakers Bureau. What are some other initiatives that you work on? Or I guess maybe we'll also preface that with what do you do as director of programs? And then, what kind of
Yeah.
different programs are there?
Absolutely. So, as director of programs, I work with 3 program managers and a program coordinator. And together we do sort of core programming for the organization. We also have a couple other program folks who are sort of jointly working with our state arts commission. So they're on a slightly different team, but they're still our sort of program buds, but they have a slightly different system over there. But as director of programs, right, I work with my colleagues to produce all of our work, right? We have Speakers Bureau, which several councils have, but we just launched our new roster. This is a group of 40 really cool talks from experts who are not just vetted for their their knowledge, but also their ability to like captivate an audience. Right? We're really proud of this roster. And with that, we hold hundreds of events around the state. We try to hit all 39 counties in our state. That's really important to us. We're not a Seattle organization, we're a statewide organization. You have a primetime family reading. This is a literacy program for the whole family, as the name implies. Really excited about that. That just expanded like 5-fold in the last year, from like 20 series per year to like 100. We also, one program I'm really proud of is our Public Humanities Fellows. This is a program for early career humanities folks who are hoping to learn how to do this public work, right? Not just scholarship, but how do you actually serve your community? So this actually comes out of my dissertation, this idea that we need to provide better training for grad students and other early career folks. So, I tried to put like Humanities Washington's money where my mouth is, I guess, and provide, funding for their project, but also stipends, also mentorship, learning community, publicity for their projects, that sort of thing. And we have some really cool projects going on right now. We have a story map of cultural groups in prisons in Washington state. We have a podcast about the stories of immigrants and refugees sharing their folk tales, but also personal narratives in their own language. We have all sorts of cool stuff coming up. So really proud of that program. And we have a bunch of special initiatives coming up in the next year. So we like to do lots of different kinds of things at Humanities Washington.
I think something special about your council too is that you're also home to I'm going to get this wrong, Center for Cultural Traditions. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, the Center for Washington Cultural Traditions is led by my colleague Thomas Grant Richardson, and also supported by Violetta Martin. And they're sort of program buds. So I don't directly get to work with that center, but it's an awesome program that does really cool work. They have heritage arts apprenticeship pairs, where there are these experts in a certain area, whether that's making cheese or traditional weaving or other sorts of things. And they train an apprentice in how to do that and do public programming around it. So it's a really awesome program that they just launched, I think, 20 more apprenticeship pairs in the last few months. So they're doing really fantastic work.
I would love to learn how to make cheese.
Me too.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I love, again, I love sharing just what humanities councils are doing across our state because everyone really is so different. And I think that,
Yeah.
of course, we're all located in different geographic regions, so we have access to different resources, or
Yep.
even like, just again, geographic features and landforms might shape our programming in ways that we might not realize, but are really important. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
really great to hear doing in Washington. I'm going to cut back to, I guess, your work as a philosopher. So when I was reading your bio, I guess this is the bio that you shared with me. So you say that your research focuses on public philosophy, which you mentioned a little bit, rationality, and the epistemology of extremism. And I'm wondering if you can
Mhm.
talk a little bit more about that last one. What does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So I should also maybe answer the question how those all fit together, because those are
Okay,
all
yeah.
fairly different
Do that.
things, right? So my dissertation was sort of an exploration of about philosophy, right? So I did this really annoying philosophy move of philosophy about philosophy. I did meta philosophy. So how annoying can you get as a philosopher? But I wanted to explore the challenges that philosophy is facing and how it should change to accommodate those challenges. So one is engaging the public, right, in order to save deteriorating support for academic philosophy, financial support. Uh, Another was how do you deal with psychological research on bias, right? That seems to indicate that our reasoning as humans is very flawed and subject to a lot of hidden biases you may not even be aware of. And third, how do we deal with these like social phenomena like conspiracy theories, right? So that's where I wanted to go with philosophy is how can we evolve while still retaining what makes philosophy special and good. So epistemology of extremism is why do people who believe these extreme things believe them, right? Is it uh, is it just like someone got something wrong, they just made a mistake? Is it that they were sort of curated by political and financial sources, political groups with large financial pools in order to manipulate media? Like, what's going on here, right? And who's responsible? So the epistemology of extremism tries to get to that question of why do people believe the things they do, especially these beliefs that seem really outlandish to others. How do you get a January 6th, for example? How do you get the um, Q conspiracy, right? How do you get Pizzagate? Those seem so outlandish to so many of us, and yet large groups of people believe it. So it explores that question essentially.
Do you have a favorite conspiracy theory or theories?
That's so there's like the innocuous ones that are kind of like fun, and then there's like the really
The deep.
scary sad ones.
Okay.
So a fun one is like we mentioned Kubrick earlier, like that he actually directed the moon landing and it was fake and he hid clues that he did this in The Shining. Like that's sort of a fun conspiracy theory that I'm not going to say causes no harm, but at least compared to something like Pizzagate or the Q conspiracy, is a little more innocent, I suppose, or just a little less scary.
Yeah.
Um, so I think those are among my favorite, is those sorts of like less terrifying ones.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have to deal with the trolley problem at all in your work?
Not in my research, but certainly in my courses. Any ethics course has to have at least one diagram of a trolley problem, I think,
Okay.
which they're increasingly important. Well, actually, when you think about like self-driving cars, because there is going to have to be some programmatic decision about what cars do, these self-driving cars do in these moments of decision between, harming the driver, harming passengers, harming people on the street, running into other cars. Like that is very much a trolley problem and will need to be figured out by car manufacturers in the
Yeah.
next few years.
Yeah. I hope they never add emotions to cars. Can you imagine a car that gets angry at you or
Oh,
I don't
no.
know, feels
Yeah.
disgust, right? Yeah.
There's
So,
enough anger on the road, I think. So
yeah.
I wouldn't want that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just thinking about that game that we just played. In
Yeah.
chat, Inger Ostrich writes, I still find it shocking that we put so much effort into getting to the moon in the 60s and then just never went back in 50 years.
It's sad, right? I know. I loved astronomy as a kid, and I'm still via my interest in sci-fi and technology is still sort of desperate for us to make some progress there, but not much of late.
Yeah. I am curious, Stone, do you I think you've kind of answered this a little bit, but do you find that sort of your, I guess, background or interest in philosophy also shapes a lot of the programming that you do? So I know, for instance, during the pandemic when it first started, weren't you responsible for the cabin fever questions? Is that you? I feel like
Yeah.
that might be an example, but I'm just wondering if, yeah, philosophy or your interest also weaves its way into your other programming. Because,
Yeah, absolutely. I think philosophy prepares you to engage any question without freaking out. Like nothing feels too big, right? Philosophy prepares you for the abstract, for unknown territory. So whether it's politics or it's art history or whatever, I think philosophy, part of its tool set is getting to the core questions, asking the right questions, listening well, thinking through implications. So to me, I think philosophers are well set up to explore the humanities very broadly. So for Cabin Fever Questions, which for folks who don't know was a digital program we launched within weeks of lockdown starting here in Washington. Um, in fact, I think the first question we sent out was actually before lockdown was instantiated by the governor. But it was basically a big question that we posed that allowed people to sort of turn to the people that they were maybe quarantined with or had, some sort of digital connection to and talk rather than simply feel all those feelings we were all feeling at that time. So it was like, how do you behave ethically toward your neighbors in a pandemic, right? Because you are ethically required to be removed from them, and yet this is a instance of community suffering where we almost have to support each other. So like, how do we navigate that? So it provides this question, it provides further resources, readings, videos, etc., some follow-up questions, things like that. And it was a way for us to allow people to it was a way for us to create opportunities to connect and think together. We won the Schwartz Prize for outstanding public humanities programming that year for that program, so we're really proud of it. But yeah, I think philosophy undergirds everything we do because it's just the art of asking questions and thinking carefully. So to me, it's sort of like, we have all these humanities fields. It feels like philosophy could be a common element in all of them, for sure.
Our communications consultant says that she loved the cabin fever.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
It's very much a team effort. Lots of our staff contributed questions. We have lots of humanities expertise on staff. It's really nice. And our communications director, David Haldeman, I love working with him. We have a great partnership where we do these things where I write philosophy questions and he makes them look pretty, and we work very well together. So he's awesome. I'll share the compliment with him.
Yeah, no, thank you. Please do. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. I think I'm gonna ask some fun questions now. We can always circle back to the serious questions. And again, if anyone has any additional comments or questions for Stone, please feel free to share them in the chat. I wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite places or things to do when you're in Washington? And I like to ask this question of our guests, whether they're from Nevada, I'll ask them, what favorite places are to do, or things are to do in Nevada. But I think it's just a good way to know, like, what are some of the values that matter to you, but also, if someone wants to come out and maybe explore something off the beat, they can.
Yeah. So I love this question. I've given it a lot of thought because it's important. Places are very important to me. And the first thing that came to mind, I hope is not too obvious, but I have to just say it because it's true. It's Mount Baker Snoqualmie National Forest. This is a huge forest up here. It's east of Seattle, about an hour, but expands by far. I like to go hiking, and this year started backpacking. And Mount Baker Snoqualmie Forest feels like home. It is so beautiful and lush and full of all these trails with waterfalls and these massive boulders that are like 2 stories tall and posing gray, especially like slick with our, damp winters. And yeah, it's just a beautiful forest to be in. And on one of the highways, maybe I'll get more specific here. On one of the highways into the forest, there is the greatest coffee shop on earth.
Okay.
You pull off, and they have a big statue of Bigfoot, and they have all this weird, corny merch around Bigfoot, and they also have this beautiful view of a waterfall. But what I especially like about this coffee place is that it's called Espresso Chalet. So an Italian coffee, but a French chalet. It has no aesthetic connection to a chalet. It's just called a chalet. And for my wife and I, it is our favorite place to stop because it is a very silly, but somehow also beautiful place that gives you coffee right when you need it most. So Espresso Chalet is a big one for me. Second is this place called Accidental Park. So, like an accident. This is near my apartment here in Seattle. This is not an official park in the city. Instead, it's this place that happens to have a really pretty view of the um, Olympic Mountains. Uh, but our neighbors, everyone has donated like a plastic chair to put in this park so you can watch the sunset. And there's a sign that says like accidents. There's in town, there's this park called Occidental Park.
Okay.
This is accidental. So you can, everyone brings chairs and become a little community landmark, just emerging out of neighbors being sweet to one another. So that's my other favorite. And third is this bookstore called Third Place Books here in Seattle, the Ravenna location specifically. They're an awesome bookstore, my favorite bookstore, but they also have this basement that has a bar in it. And it's so beautiful. They have these wooden tables and it's a very dark bar, very moody, very literary feeling. And it's just the most comfortable place on earth to read or think or talk. And so that always comes to mind as one of my favorite places. So those are my top three.
Those are great. And yeah, and Silver says loves that in chat. I think about Accidental Park. A great
Yes,
name and great neighborly content.
it's wonderful. It fills my heart every time I
Yeah.
walk by it. Yeah.
What are the images behind you? Are those from Washington State or are those from elsewhere?
Those are
Photos?
from here. Yeah. So let's see. I took both of them. They were my like
Okay.
very novice like photography attempts, which mainly just meant pointing my camera at a pretty thing. Yeah. Yeah. This one is I think Lake 22. The wintry one is Lake 22. And then the pretty green and blue is Crescent Lake, which is in Western Washington on the Olympic Peninsula.
What's in the middle?
That is a bit of artwork from one of our friends, Sarah Harvey, and it's a little like pine tree, beautiful watercolor she did.
I've only been to
Yeah,
Washington a handful of times and mostly to Olympia. I just remember just I think Evergreen College is there. I remember
yeah,
how tall the trees are. Really amazing. I would love to go back again.
it's astounding. To me, the Pacific Northwest is the most beautiful place on earth. It is unbelievable, and so many different kinds of beauty. It's stunning. You don't get sick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, thank you for sharing all of that. I'm going to ask you the second, I guess, another question that I like to ask of all of our first time guests. And there is no right or wrong answer, but what do the humanities mean to you? I love asking this.
yeah. I love this question too. And I think it's often overcomplicated by thinking about all the different like disciplines. Because like I think that's too hard to think of it as like it's philosophy, it's history, it's journalism, it's law, legal studies, whatever. That to me doesn't communicate it. To me, I think of it as like an engine for wisdom, right? All of these fields are trying to generate a kind of wisdom. It's not just facts, it's not just knowledge, it's a specific kind of knowledge. And it's about how to deal with ideas, about how to deal with nuance, it's how to navigate uncertainty. That to me is what characterizes wisdom, right? And to me, all of these fields are coming together. That's what connects them. Philosophy, I think, is somewhat the original, but to me, it's all about wisdom. And I can't think of a better way to think about it, or I haven't heard a better way to think about it. So that's what sticks with me the most. But that's also a philosopher coming in and saying that's what's most important. So maybe it is facts of history and things like that. But to me, it's wisdom.
No, I love that. That's a really nice way to think about it. And I think, yeah, it sort of enriches this tapestry of answers we've gathered over the course of this past year. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have
What do
a
you have? Do you have an answer for that question?
Oh, it changes every time,
Yeah.
it's hard. I guess I think about connection first because, right, when you think about the humanities as an academic discipline, we think about history, philosophy, literature. I think something that all of those fields have in common first is people trying to tell stories, like the story of, the past, how we came to be here, of our
Yeah.
relations with one another, about how we think and trying to communicate them with one another. So for me,
Yeah.
I think just sort of off the cuff, I think when I think of the humanities, I think of all the, many, many ways in which we try to find, connections with one another and share that and find this sort of common thread, right? That common humanity that we all share. I think I could probably go a little
Yeah.
bit deeper if I had more time, but I like to think about connection and
I think that's a huge part of it, right? Like so much knowledge is produced socially, whether it's people telling you things or people improving on your own thoughts, brainstorming, like social production of knowledge is so important. So that has to be a big part of it.
yeah, and it makes it a little bit less formidable, when you tell people or ask
Yeah.
people what the humanities are, and you're like, well, I'm not a historian, I'm not a philosopher. But if you say, right,
Yeah.
it's just the stories we tell around like a kitchen table or cave painting, right? Like these are, I think, all part of the share them with.
Absolutely.
We have a loaded question for you in chat. Um, Stone, what is the best food to get in Washington?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of good food here. To me, so okay. There's some options, right? There's excellent seafood. There's excellent Thai food. There's excellent sushi, ramen, teriyaki. I mean, there's so many. But for me, it is coffee. And I know that is as cliche as you can possibly get about a Seattleite appearing on this and answering this question. But I can't beat it. Like traveling is hard because it's hard to get good coffee sometimes. So like I wouldn't go to Starbucks. Go if you visit Seattle, don't bother going to Starbucks. It's the same as anywhere else. Find those local coffee shops and really enjoy it and get the fancy stuff and have a tasting experience. Be extremely pretentious and enjoy the pretension of it. It's part of the fun.
I'll note that one of our Washington chatters in response to that question said yes. And then he said, serious answer. I think it really depends where you end up in a state. There's both an
Yeah,
incredible variety and depth of the food options for the bigger
yeah.
cities. And then in response to what you said, coffee and microbreweries is the Pacific Northwest way.
It truly is. It truly is. And I mean, yeah, that is, I'm giving a sort of Western Washington answer. There's a James Beard award winning tamale shop near Yakima in Central Washington. That's wonderful. There's a taco place in Spokane that is like my favorite ever. Uh, there's good food all over. I mean, and the state is so diverse in both its geography and its culture. So you'll find good food here. I promise if you visit us.
Also in the chat, Cypher writes, hello, welcome in. He writes, living that close to the sea and not getting sushi on the regular should be a crime. And then Cypher writes, don't live by the sea if you don't eat sushi or seafood. That's fair. Yeah, not everyone eats sushi or seafood, but it is good.
Sure.
I actually had sushi last night.
Nice.
Also in chat, K-Papa writes, I love coffee so much. Planning to visit the Pacific Northwest soon. That will definitely be a big part of my trip. Well, we have, you know, Espresso Chalet now. You gotta go
Yes.
there.
Espresso Chalet. Cloud City is so wonderful here. Lighthouse is wonderful here. There's so Middle Fork Roasters. Oh my God, there's so many good coffee roasters up here. Yeah, you could build a whole vacation around visiting good coffee places and good microbreweries, of course.
This is all good to know. Yeah, for Think and Drink, check out their website and learn more about. I
That's
guess
right.
they're. I guess it's more of the drinking, the alcoholic type of drinking. But maybe you'd have. Do you ever do stuff at coffee shops?
We've been trying
Yeah.
to figure that out. Yeah,
Okay.
we want to make it a little more accessible and engaging to a wider audience. So we've been thinking about tea and coffee and other sorts of things. Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I would love to know how that goes. I love food and drink, and I would love to do more of that programming here in Nevada. I was actually joking at our last program meeting that we should do like a staff and board cookbook at some point, but that might also include stories on top of recipes, but also cocktails. I recently had a pecan
ooh,
punch for the first time. Are you familiar with a pecan punch?
I'm not. We had a pecan. old fashioned at the National Humanities Conference. That was very interesting, but not a pecan
Yeah,
punch.
so this is pecan spelled Picon. This is, I guess it connects back to the Basque shepherds and the Basque people who live or who moved to northern Nevada, kind of in the I want to say the 19th century. I could be getting this totally wrong, but there's a very strong tradition of yeah Basque food and drink up in that area. And pecan punch is oh gosh, I don't remember what was in it anymore. I only had one, I promise, but it was very good. I had it at a Basque restaurant when I was there last week, and some people think that it should be. Several people have tried to lobby for it to become the state cocktail of Nevada. So we'll see. We'll see if that happens.
That's very interesting. I'm glad these conversations are being held at Nevada Humanities. We recently had a snack competition at Humanities
A
Washington,
snack
which was like,
competition.
yeah, it's best snack, and
Okay.
everyone entered. We had anonymous, but we had people made their pitches of why they chose their snack. We had anonymous voting. Um, it tore us apart a little bit. There was some there was some strong argumentation, but it was really really wonderful. I also had a chocolate competition, and we're looking to figure out our next competition as well. So if you have any suggestions in the chat, um, about competitions we should have at Humanities Washington revolving around food, please do
Yeah,
suggest.
please share them. Yeah, one of your Washington said coffee and conversation, maybe as a program title.
Ooh, alliteration is always good. We
Yeah.
all know that as program
Yeah.
designers. Yep.
And then you said pecan, old fashioned. I guess he wants to know more about that. So yeah, a lot of people love snacks in the chat. I think yeah, food and drink I think are just so immediate and relatable. So I love yeah any
Yeah.
program that just gets to that. And then you know we it's like graduate school. You lure people in. You lure hungry grad students in with snacks, and then
Yes.
you do the thing.
That's true. It's true. It works.
Yeah. I'm going to circle back, I guess, to philosophy again, because I do want to, before our time ends, I wanted to ask you more about philosophy and questions for young people. Can you talk about this?
Yeah, so this is brand new in my life, actually. A big update for me. So, um, Questions is a journal that features essays, drawings, artwork, poetry from young people. So K-12 students, right? Doing about philosophical topics. So it's a way for them to do philosophy, right? Write, draw, create philosophy. So it's a really special journal. It's the official journal of Plato, which is the philosophy, learning, and teaching organization, which is like the national philosophy for children organization here in the US. And yeah, I'll be just having started 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm the co-editor in chief of the journal alongside my colleague Ariel Sykes. So we just launched or announced, I should say, the topic for next year, which is conflict and cooperation. So if you know any students interested in doing some philosophy, please submit on that topic, and we would love to feature them. So yeah, really excited to be a part of it. It's a really cool journal, and yeah, I'm still wrapping my head around the role and figuring out how to do it, but I'm excited about it.
No, that's great. I love that topic. It's really interesting. Yeah, conflict and cooperation and getting young people to think about that.
Yeah.
When I was a college student, so I started out majoring in psychology before I switched over to ethnomusicology. Actually, I started in biology first and then moved to psychology. And then I've taken this very funny path to get to where I am. This is why I love the origin story question. But as an undergraduate, one of the first research labs I worked in, we worked with children on resource scarcity. And I remember we did cookie studies where young children would come in and we would give them either like a red or like a blue ribbon or bandana. And then on the screen, there'd be like the red team and the blue team, and they would have cookies. And we'd say, like, who do you want to give the cookies to, right? Or who should get a cookie? And then just you only had a certain amount to allot and seeing how children behave. So when you said conflict and cooperation for young people, that's the first
Yeah,
thing that popped into my head.
totally. In groups and out groups, and working across interests. Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm so excited to see what they come up with. Um, Especially thinking about the cooperation side of things, like how do we navigate a world that is by default full of conflict? Is conflict necessary? Is it just part of the human experience? Is it contingent. Could we get away from it? I don't know. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's going to be.
I don't think we ever.
I think it's going to be good. Yeah,
And I think it also ties really well. I mean, this is of course separate, but just like the United We Stand programming that, the Humanities
yeah,
Councils will be enacting, I guess this year and next year, I feel it also tie very well into issues of
yeah. Absolutely. I think it's a theme that's top of mind for a reason. I think we're all trying to figure out productive ways out of the morass we find ourselves in various contexts, for sure.
It's funny that you mention divisiveness because we have a little bit happening in our chat right now. So civil rights food discussions are always divisive. It's very entertaining. In response, Ostrich Pro, everyone is entitled to their wrong food opinions. And then, okay, another heavy question for you, Stone. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Oh, getting to the real stuff.
Yeah,
Here we
right.
go.
This is what we're actually here
Um,
for.
I'm very much a pluralist. Everyone can. There is no wrong food, in my opinion. However, I that does not personally seem appealing to me, unless it is extremely thinly sliced and it's just a hint of pineapple. I could see it, but I get to have pizza so infrequently that when I do, I need it to be exactly what I want, the exact way I want it, with like my exact toppings, or I'll feel like I squandered one of the best experiences in life, which is when you get to have pizza. So
Yeah.
it's a no for me personally, but I welcome and accept all those who partake.
What are your pizza toppings of
I am a simple man with respect to pizza. I think the best way to evaluate a restaurant's pizza is their cheese pizza in terms of like, is this a good pizza place? The pizza I most enjoy, though, is a simple pepperoni if it's a very good pizza. If it's, if it's like Domino's or whatever, to me, it almost doesn't matter what you put on it. Just like, whatever. This is just functionally pizza. But I want very simple but good flavors with my pizza. To me, it's a clean experience of simple features.
I love that. And I feel like that's very much your philosopher side showing. And in chat, our moderator has quoted you, quote, one of the best experiences in life, getting to have pizza, end quote, by Stone Addington, 2023. Very inspirational.
I feel seen. I feel like that is probably the truest thing I've ever said. So I feel great about
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have fun in our chat. Stone, I'm wondering if, before we leave today, is there anything else you'd like to share about Humanities Washington? I know I've asked you a little bit about your programming. I guess, you don't necessarily have to talk about your grants, but I'm wondering, or you could if you'd like, but I'm just wondering if there's anything else you'd like to share about your council before we head out for people who don't know about you.
Yeah, I think I'd ask folks to keep an eye out for that AI and creativity event, which we haven't yet announced. So you're getting a sneak preview of. That'll be here in the next couple of weeks. We'll announce it, and that'll be live online, so anyone can attend. Um, we're going to have a really good year. I think we're going to bring back our Washington Stories Fund grant, where we provide funds to organizations who are raising up stories that are underheard or undertold. So that's going to be a really cool project to bring back. Um, but otherwise, I don't know. I want to take a moment to like commend my colleagues who I think are really creative, awesome, and inspiring people who are right now like planning out the next year of our work, and the sheer innovation and passion I've seen for the humanities has been really great. And it's wonderful to work at an organization that prioritizes love of the humanities, not just sort of administering the humanities as a job, but because this is what we're here for. This is our whole mission. So just want to publicly compliment my awesome coworkers and say thank you to them. So that's the only other thing I would point out.
Really kind of you. You can also learn more about the staff bios on the humanities.org website about all these great people that Stone is complimenting right now. And I'll also say, yeah, I was just at the National Humanities Conference. Both of us were, a lot of us were, Indianapolis, where I got to meet some of them. For I believe, Sarah was one of them,
Yep.
Violetta, and
Yep.
Thomas. I got to meet them. They're all, yeah, super passionate, like you said. Really excited about next year. Um, trying a lot of new things, and just trying to think about the best way to bring the public humanities across your state. And it was really really inspiring. Yeah, truly passionate at Humanities Washington. Well, I think unless anyone has any other questions, I think we're gonna end our stream today. I had such a good time playing Silicon Dreams with you, Stone. I probably could have played like 3 more hours of it. I was genuinely just caught up. Like I wanted to know more about these androids we were chatting
Yeah,
to. It just some really. I didn't think the game could make. Of course, we're trying to evoke emotions in the androids, but I myself, and I think you in our chat did, we also felt
yeah,
these emotions. Like fear and like surprise, and yeah, when Alex got a little bit angry at us, that was a little bit horrifying. So really, really interesting game. And I'm glad I got to play that with you and chat about, philosophical implications. For everyone in
oh,
our chat, we are going to take a break. It's Thanksgiving week next week, so we won't be streaming. But when we come back on the 28th at 3 p.m. Pacific, not our usual time of 12, we're going to be streaming at 3 with a cinema and media studies scholar. He's a postdoc at UNR. Dave Burnham and I are going to be playing the first part of Norco, which is it's been described as like a Southern Gothic point and click game. Really cool. Also deals with dystopian futures, kind of climate change in the southeast of the U.S. in the future. So his research deals with experimental film and camera angles, so he might be examining those as we play. And then on Thursday at 12 p.m. on November 30th at 12 p.m. Pacific, we're going to be streaming Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. We played part of this previously. We're going to be revisiting this, and this is going to be with Sheila Bach, who is a folklorist at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Really excited to be playing with her. I think she's a co-editor of a journal all about narrative and narrative culture. And again, we love folklore, so those are two streams I'm very much looking forward to. But yeah, one more thing. We have one more question for you before we head out today, Stone. Our last question from chat. Any good book and or other media recommendations from Stone?
oh man. Uh, so many. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
it's
where do I
hard, right?
start?
We do a lot of
Um,
show and tell on our program. We like to do like, here's a graphic novel I've been reading recently, or here's like a horror lineup for Halloween.
yeah. Okay. Three, three or four recommendations.
Okay.
Lightning speed. Um, there's a sci-fi book that I think is really underread called Gnomon, Gnomon, by Nick Harkaway, and it's like deals with like surveillance and AI and crimes and kind of like Minority Report the movie a little bit.
Okay.
Really great, weird, engrossing, bizarre book, and I really love it. Two, what was I gonna say? Fantasy series that has a terrible name but is beautiful. Book series. It's called the Elderling Saga, and it's or World Land of the Elderlings or something. I hate the name. It's really embarrassing, but it is some of the most beautiful fantasy fiction
Okay.
ever, and it really explores. You get to know this one character better than any other character in all of the fiction, in my opinion. It's a great winter book to read or series to start. Last recommendation, because it is winter and because I'm a philosopher, I have to say read Dostoevsky, and winter is the time to read Dostoevsky. It's hard, but it's worth it. Read Brothers Karamazov, make the time for it. It is the most philosophical novel ever written, and it is beautiful. And I kind of like force it into every class I teach for a reason. So those are three I would point to. I feel like there's a million I should be saying right now, but that's what came to mind.
That's perfect. And yeah, in chat,
Yeah.
Realm of the Underlings is what has
Realm. Thank you. Yes,
been.
Realm.
All right. Well, thank you again, Stone, so much. It was such a blast hanging out with you. I would love to feature more of your colleagues in the future if they would, like to join
Absolutely.
me. We don't have to play Silicon Dreams with them. I'll try to find other games, or they could, continue this adventure with us. But yeah, it was such a blast getting to better know you, your thoughts on pizza and coffee, all the important questions. So thank you
Oh,
again.
this was so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We'll see everyone next time. Have a great rest of your days.
Bye.